How's it going, everyone? I'm Tej, and we're here in my studio in Brampton, Ontario. And today we're going to do a breakdown of the mix I did for Sunny Malton and Sidhu Moosewala's Never Fold. First things first, we're going to start off with the drums. We'll go on to the bass, and then we'll go from the melodies, and then I'll show you what I did on Sidhu's voice, and I'll show you what I did on Sunny's voice. So let's start. Let's start off with the kick drum, just some EQ and some harmonic distortion. So that's with my plugins on. If I turn my plugins off, a lot more punchier, and then I got a little bit more bounce out of it. So let me just open this plugin and kind of show you what they're doing. So this is just for mainly harmonic distortion. I'm using the Brit 4KE channel, and then I use the Fab Filter Pro Q to kind of give it that bounce that I wanted to. And give it a little bit of that top end just to kind of make sure it cuts through the mix, you know? Next up, we have the snare. Sounds like this. And as you can see, I kind of did a little bit of compression, a little bit of distortion on that as well. So let me show you quickly what it sounds like with and without. So with all the plugins, and then without all the plugins. So let me show you what each plugin is kind of individually doing. A little bit of 4kg, a little bit of drive, nothing much, nothing major. And this is where you start to shape the sound a little bit. This is the Plug Alliance, the BX console, the 4000G series. Amazing, amazing sounding console emulation plugin. Boosting a little bit of that low at the 200 range to get that weight in the snare. And then the low mids around 300 hertz, and then high mids 7 dB, which is quite a bit, around 5.4. Just kind of push the top end of that snare, and we added a 6.4 dB at the top, the very, very top at 10K, to really kind of let that snare shine through and give it a little bit more of that cut, you know? And then I have Fab Filter Pro Q, just kind of taking a little bit of the lows and adding a little bit more shine to it. So this is the final sound right here. And then next up we have the hi-hats, which I don't think I did too much to it. Just kind of made them pop a little bit. Once again, some harmonic distortion with the VMR, 4kg, the DBX 160. I love using this percussion preset. It's amazing. It works every time. Some EQ just to clean up a little, just give it a little bit of top end shine. Nothing major. So here's with it on my plugins. And here's with it off. And then here's all the drums together, all in one go. And then without any of the plugins on. Alright, next up, let's go to the bass. I didn't do much to it at all. Maybe just some harmonic distortion with using the VMR, and that's about it. As you can see here, it's set to the Brit Neve. The drive is still 6. It's just standard. And then, so this is what it sounds like with it on. Alright, so nothing major. And then I'm going to show you with the drums as well, because, you know, bass and drums need to hit together always. And this is what it sounds like with the drums and bass all together. Alright, so next up we have the melodies, and I'm going to go through all of them together and kind of show you guys what I did in terms of all my plugins. And then I'll go to each individual stem and kind of show you guys the breakdown of each plugin and kind of what I did. Next up, we'll play them all together, and I'll take the plugins off, and you guys can hear them what it sounds like without. So. And now with all my plugins off. Alright, so let's kind of go through the first channel, and I'll play it for you guys. And all there is some compression and EQ. I just use the strings preset, and I kind of adjust it as I kind of needed to. And then I have the LA2A compressing about 2 dB, 2 to 3 dB. So that's without any plugins on. Sounds very dull, you know, with the plugins on. Really brightens and livens that up. Next up we have So just cut out a little bit of the bottom end of that Pro Q just to kind of clean it up a little bit, and use the string preset to kind of push that top end a little bit. So let's just hear that with and without the plugins. Kind of made it a little brighter and kind of brought it out in the mix a little bit. Next up, we just have these hits, which once again, just a little bit of compression, a little bit of EQ. I think there was just a little bit of hum that I took out. So let me just hear these hits. And just a little bit of compression, about 2 dB of compression. And then next up, we have, this is, I believe, a piano. Yep, so a little bit of echo on it. It was already given to me with the echo. My boy SOE sent it with all the echoes and stuff on it. Here's it with all the plugins on. And then here's with my plugins off. And I believe I'm just using a piano preset. And then I just turn the analog off. I do on all the channels because I don't like that hum. And then just a little bit of cleanup, and that's about it. Very simple. Once again, this is another piano. It's a little cleanup, and once again, the SSL channel, and then we're good. Simple. I believe this is the guitar that plays in the background. So I did use 1176, the Rave, and a little bit of cleanup with the Pro Q. Very slight EQing. So with that off, very subtle. Just kind of brings it out a little bit, makes it sit a little bit better in the mix. There are some strings at the end, and I believe there's just RC20 on here. Just some distortion, a little bit of wobble, a little bit of magnetic, and adding just a little bit of reverb in that space channel. Some high strings, and then there's a set of low strings that come right underneath it. Very, very simple. So all together, we have... We also have the VCC channel. Once again, I have it on all my auxes. And then I'm just EQing a little bit of that mid out, that low mid, and a filter. And that's about it. I don't even think we ended up using the filter. I had one. No, we didn't end up using it. I had it on there for a filter effect that we had it before, and then we eventually ended up taking it out. So this is actually not doing anything. So you can turn this off. Let's hear that back with everything on it. And that's the Melodies. Next up, we're going to bring out the Sidhu vocals, and out of respect for the family, I don't want to show the entire vocal. I'm going to show you guys with my plugins on and then with my plugins off, and I'll kind of go through my changes. So let's hear it with all my plugins on. Let's turn my plugins off real quick, and I'll turn the reverb off as well. Alright, so let's go one by one. Let's open up the Pro Q. Making quite drastic changes here, cutting out quite of the lows, bringing some of that sharpness down, pushing out some of the upper mid. And then next up I have the 1176, and I'm pushing pretty hard. I'm pushing up 7 dB. Punjabi vocals, we like them crushed pretty hard, so I'm really, really driving this in. So let's hear that with the Pro Q and the 1176 in. Alright, and then I have another Pro Q, and I'm bringing out just a little bit more of those lows, because his vocal was pretty heavy in the low end, so I really wanted to carve those out. And then I added another compressor. I'm compressing about 3 dB here, 5:1 ratio, about 5.8 to 1 ratio. So let's hear that with the Pro Q and the R compressor, with the Pro Q and the 1176 in as well. So just kind of pulling down those peaks a little bit, and then I'm adding an LA2A, just kind of rounding it off a little bit more. I'm doing about 3 to 4 dB here. So let's hear it with that. And then I have the vocal rider just to kind of even out the vocal going into my Pultec. And I'm not really doing much here. I'm boosting a little bit of 8K and attenuating a little bit of 100 and not doing much else. So let's hear it with the vocal rider and the Pultec. And then I have RVox in here. So it's about 6 dB of compression. And then the Renaissance Axe. Another dB and a half of compression. And then you have the final vocal. And then just reverb at the end. That's it for Sidhu's vocals. Let's go to Sunny's vocals now. Alright, so next up is Sunny's vocals. I'm just going to quickly solo these, and I'll play this with all my plugins on. And then I'll take them all off, and then once again I'll show you guys with it on and off.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision. I'm the good guy, baby. When did I become the villain?
Alright, so let me take the reverb off, and this is what it sounds like with the reverb off.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision. I'm the good guy, baby. When did I become the villain?
And then I'll turn off all the plugins, And this is what it sounds like without no plugins on.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision. I'm the good guy, baby. When did I become the villain?
So Pro Q, once again, carving out some of those lows, pushing a little bit of that upper end. I want a little bit of that shine to come through on that vocal, a little bit of that air, a little bit of that clarity, and compressing with the API 2500, and we can hear that with these two plugins on.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision.
Compressing about 6 dB here. Going back to the Pro Q, pulling out some of those lows again, because once again, when I'm compressing, those lows come out. I'm adding another compressor after that, or adding our compressor, same ratio, same attack and release as the Sidhu vocals, compressing about the same amount as well, compressing about 3 dB. So let's hear that with the Pro Q and the R compressor in with the 2500 and the Pro Q3.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision.
They sound a little thin right now, but as I kind of add things, they'll definitely thicken up. Adding 1176, compressing about 5 dB here. So let's hear it with that.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision.
And then vocal rider to bring it up a little bit and kind of level out the vocals a little bit.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision.
I'm literally just taking out some of the highs. It's starting to sound too sharp. Arvox and Renaissance acts, same thing as the Sidhu vocals, compressing about 6 dB in the Arvox, and compressing about 1 to 2 dB on the Renaissance axe, and this is the final Sunny vocal.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision. I'm the good guy, baby. When did I become the villain?
And then with the reverb on.
It's the youngin', Saga City Vision. I'm the good guy, baby. When did I become the villain?
All right, and so this is the final vocals. All right, so last thing we have is the effects, and there's not really much going on. Just some effects at the beginning, just helicopter, police effects, and some clock ticking at the beginning. Simple, and then just an easy crash and a reverse crash. Simple. Nothing much to it. And then final thing we have is the mastering. So let's break down the mastering chain. It's pretty heavy. There is quite a bit of plugins on it. So I'm going to start from the beginning. First thing up, we have the VMR, and I'm using the Hollywood channel. It's a tube emulator, so it gives it that nice warmth and saturation. And I'm using the Virtual Mix Plus, kind of using the 4000G series. That goes into a virtual tape machine. I love this plugin. It's one of the best. It gives me no hiss, and it gives me just that weight and fatness that I love out of a tape machine emulation. Next up, we have the BX XL V2. I use a little bit of the mid-high, just add a little bit of harmonics, and I widen it out a little bit because I know with SOE, he likes his tracks nice and wide and big sounding, so we had to widen out a little bit. Next, just some cleanup, some brick wall EQ, cutting out all that low at about 25 hertz and cutting out about 19,000 hertz, just cutting out that top end and cut out any of that stuff that doesn't need to be there. Pro MB, I'm literally just kind of compressing the top end a little bit, kind of level everything out and make it sound nice. Next up, we have the Manly VST. I love this EQ. It's a mastering EQ, and I cut out a little bit of lows once again, just to kind of bring it out. Not really doing much else other than giving it a little bit of saturation, a little bit of sound. Classic clipper is where I'm getting most of my weight from. I'm driving this pretty hard. I think I'm driving around 3 dB. So when the kicks are hitting, kicking about 2 to 3 dB. And then we have the Shadow Hills compressor, compressing like a dB, just compressing those peaks a little bit, just to kind of bring them down and giving a little bit of that warmth and the saturation that the Shadow Hills compressor has. And last but not least, we have the Pro L2, and I'm limiting about 3 dB, 2 to 3 dB on that master, and we have the final record. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys follow. My Instagram is that TejMixedIt. Pretty much all my social media is TejMixedIt. So make sure you guys follow me there, and stay tuned. So I'm going to be dropping a lot more of these. And next up, we have Sidhu Moosewala's Never Fold.